Hello friends, in this episode we will be changing the front shock absorbers and mounts on a Volkswagen Passat B8. The owner was complaining about a strong knocking sound on the right side and the car swaying significantly over bumps. We will also be changing the rear shock absorbers on this car, but you will find that tutorial below in the description or at the end of this episode once it is published. Let's get started quickly. First, you will need to loosen the drive shaft axle bolt and the lug nuts. The impact wrench couldn't loosen the axle bolt, so we did it the old-fashioned way with a 24mm bi-hex socket, a breaker bar and an extension. Next, loosen the lug nuts. Jack up the car, remove the lug nuts and place the wheel under the car to prevent any accidents. Remove this plastic trim to access the strut mounts bolts. Clean off the rust with a wire brush and apply WD-40 to the nuts to be removed, which are the nut from the sway bar, the nut from the tie rod, and the 3 nuts securing the ball joint to the control arm. Now you can remove the calipers bolts. For this you will need a 13mm wrench whilst counter holding with a 17mm wrench. Pull the caliper towards you to compress the piston. Disconnect the wear sensor connector. Remove the 10mm bolt holding this bracket. Disconnect the ABS sensor connector. You can now remove the caliper from the brake pads and place it on the ground. The caliper shouldn't hang solely by the brake lines, and you won't be able to suspend it since you will remove the entire shock absorber assembly. Next, remove the 18mm nut holding the sway bar link. Remove the 21mm nut holding the tie rod. To remove the tie rod's end, it's recommended to use a special press, but if you don't have one, you can screw the nut until it's flush with the bolt and then tap it with a hammer. It's time to remove the 3 16mm nuts from the ball joint. Now remove the axle using a long socket. For the next step you'll need someone's help. One person will need to remove the 13mm bolts from the top of the shock absorber mount, and someone will need to hold the shock absorber and spring assembly. For better visibility, we will now work outside. Clean the rust and apply WD-40 in the relevant areas. Then you will need 2 spring compressors. After compressing the spring, you can remove the top nut of the shock absorber with a 21mm socket while counterholding with a 7mm Allen key. As you can see, the shock absorber is damaged, is no longer functioning properly and has both radial and axial play. Now we will remove the 18mm nut from the bottom of the steering knuckle and then the bolt using an M14. To remove the shock absorber from the steering knuckle, we recommend this universal Strut spreader. It's very affordable and available on Temu. Clean the rust thoroughly and apply grease. This is the new shock absorber. You can use the mount to prime it. Five or 6 times should be enough. Now we can begin reassembly. Ensure that the shock absorber is fully seated. I will list the torque specifications for each bolt and nut below. Make sure the spring sits correctly on its rubber mount before releasing the spring presses. As mentioned in previous episodes, when installing the assembly, ensure the arrows on the mount align with the driving directions. The final tightening of the mount bolts should be done as closely as possible to the marks left by the old ones.
Poate mai bine, nu? Poate pe spate.
Don't forget to reconnect the wear sensor connector and the ABS sensor connector. To easily install the sway bar link, it's best to also jack up the left front wheel. Now all that's left is to mount the wheel and tighten the axle bolt. The tightening torque for the axle bolt is around 200 Newton meters, and for the lug nuts it is 140 Newton meters. And that's it, guys. I hope this tutorial was helpful. Don't forget to like if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel for free, and leave a comment with your thoughts on this episode. Until the next tutorial, we wish you all the best. Goodbye!